Shalom, Shalom, Shabbat, Adonai. Welcome to the Sixth Exodus program. The name of this segment is Revelation. I have some information I'd like to share with you concerning the book of Revelation. Now, I don't call myself a teacher, and I am not your teacher or your oracle. Now, today I'm going to share with you some notes I had over 30 years ago. And many things I write down, they're very old. I feel sometimes they're old as I am. Okay, this is these notes I wrote down are symbols used in the book of Revelation. Symbols. Lampstands. Revelation chapter 1, 12 through 20 represent the churches. Stars. Revelation chapter 1, 16 and 20 represents angels. Revelation 12 and 4 represent fallen angels. The appearance of Christ. May I add that Christ, the real Christ, has not been seen yet. Has not been seen yet. Yet. That means at all. Not the real Christ, the true Christ. Not at all yet. What you say? Who was that on the cross? The one who was on the cross was the Most High. That was the Most High. That was not the Son. That was the Most High himself who came as the Son. His Son will be revealed in the millennial reign, or before, slightly before the millennial reign, the appearance of Christ. And he's not going to be a beautiful thing to look at. He's not going to be beautiful to look at. It's going to be very painful to see and very difficult to look at for the whole world. The next is a two-edged sword, better known as double-edged sword. Revelation chapter 1, verse 16 represents the word. The double-edged sword represents the word. The next is the crystal sea. Revelation chapter 4, verse 6. Also, Revelation, same chapter, 15, verse 2. The interpretation governing the rule of the sea is a great mass of people. Crystal means flawless, having the right hand of God, i.e., meaning the church, and the Old Testament, meaning righteousness, because people under the Old Testament law, they are under the law, under the covenant of the law. Now, the only people that I understand is under the law, is under the covenant law, is the people who are in Israel. Now, before you get angry with me, listen to me. The people who are in Israel, they are not Hebrew. They are Jewish, just like they say. They are Jewish. They are not Hebrew. They are not Israel. They are Jewish. Now, let me explain how I come up with that. Our ancestors, descendants of Esau, the true descendants of Esau, our true brothers, went into exile into the Iron Curtain with Germany. Most of our ancestors was all killed in Germany, what is better known as the Holocaust. There was only a few left. Only a few. That means like a remnant left, very few, that are descendants of Esau. Now, descendants of Esau and the people who joined with the remnant, they came to Israel. And this is nothing new. This usually does happen when God's people go into exile. People that want to join with them, He allows them to come back with them and to serve Him. So this is the 70 weeks that Daniel talked about. The 70 weeks, or the 7 weeks in the book of Daniel. And when the people returned to Israel, they did not keep any of God's laws, but they kept the laws of their ancestors and worshiped Baal, and they set up all types of idols in Israel, which are still there today. Worshiping a star, worshiping a wall, and they have groves, the Baha'i faith, and they have all their images and just about every other idol that you can think of. The Christians, they got their idols there. The Muslims got their idols there. And of course, the Jewish people have their idols there. The next one is the mountain of fire, Revelation 8 and 8. Also, Amos chapter 7, verse 4. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 25 represents the fiery symbols of God. Chapter 8, verse 10. The next symbol are lampstands and olive trees. Revelation 11 and 4. Also Zechariah 4 and 2. 3 and 11 in chapter 14 denotes the couriers of light with longevity and fruitfulness. The next is the woman of Revelation, which represents Israel, while the male child is the Christ. And the pregnant woman was in travail, is the true nation of Israel that was taken from Jerusalem, not out of Africa. The next symbol is the wilderness. Revelation chapter 12, verse 6 through 14 represents the earthly hiding place, populated with significant resources to accommodate the true Hebrew people who were being murdered every day for 400 years. The remnant left that they desired to cut off from the face of the earth, that Israel be no more a people. The next symbol is the water. Revelations 12, 15 to 16. Also see Isaiah 59 through 19. The Antichrist is a powerful orator, releasing a flood of words. Now, in our midst, there have been many, many people on the internet, and a lot of these, um, people that are on the internet need to make sure that God is calling you. You don't want to be the Antichrist. You don't want to be it. So be careful when you say a lot of things on the internet. You don't want to mislead God's people. The next symbol is the beast. Revelation chapter 13 represents the system of Satan and hopes Satan hopes will succeed and give him control of the earth, the empires, and the nations. Also identifies with the Antichrist and the false prophet. Now these people are real people who hate God's laws and hates God's way of living, hates rules and regulations. They want to live free and they want to do the things they want to do, not the things that require restrictions or laws. And they want to do things and live the way they want to live, not to live according to God's laws and God's ordinance. They hate that. They want to be free and live on the earth in sin. That's never going to happen. The sickle, Revelation chapter 14. This represents the instruments of the harvest. This means God is taking his people out of this world and destroy all the evil ones. The the Antichrist, the false prophets, and all those who hate God's laws, the blasphemers, sexual immorality, those who refuse to walk upright before God. The winepress represents Armageddon. Revelation 14 and 18 represents the cluster of the vine of the earth, meaning people. Battle site of Armageddon is in chapter 14, verse 17 through 20. The harlot, Revelation 17 and 18 represents all the world's false religions. It starts in America, the United States of America is the harlot. She has a great influence over the multitudes through sorcery and witchcraft and drugs. This is what America does, is that she controls all the people in the world with witchcraft and sorcery and with drugs. This is the harlot. She has a great influence over the multitudes through sorcery, witchcraft, drugs, prostitution. Do what you want. Have liberty. Have sex. Don't have childhood. Have sex right away. Just give you protection. You have sex anytime you want. The next one is Babylon. Revelation 14, 8, and chapter 15 represents the worldly system of religions and commerce and government. Babylon is United States with her 7 mountains, with her 7 heads. The 7 mountains are the 7 mountain ranges in America. Her 7 heads are the 7 heads of the American government, from the executive office to the treasury through the Pentagon, the state, the legislative, judicial, all these are the heads, 7 heads of the American government. What makes the American government works. That's Babylon. And killing the saints of God are black people, which they change their race every year to keep them from knowing who they are. The one thing about this Babylon is that she seduces people, very cunning with words. It's what a harlot does. She seduces people and make them drunk, give them drugs. This is what Satan does to people. And this is how Satan makes America so attractive, because you can come here, make money, be rich, have sex, drugs, prostitution, music. If you want to be gay, you can be gay. If you want to be a lesbian, be a lesbian. Whatever you want to do. This is what Satan offers. The next is the sword. Revelations 19:15 and 21 represents the word of God, which is spoken by Christ, initiate through the plagues in Zechariah chapter 14 and 12. The next symbol is the bottomless pit. Revelation chapter 20, 1 through 3 represents the abyss, or abode of the fallen angels. The next symbol is thrones. Revelation 20, verse number 4 represents those saints who return to the earth to reign. Gog and Magog. Revelations 20, verse number 8 represents the identity of those who choose to follow Satan after his release from the bottomless pit, not to be confused with Gog and Magog of Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, verses 8. The sands of the sea represents a great mass of people, possibly over 100 million, over excess of 100 million. The bride, Revelation chapter 21, verse 9, represents the Lamb's wife, the New Jerusalem. The next symbol is dogs. Revelation 22, verse 15. Also see Philippians 3 and 2 and Galatians 5 and 15. This next segment, I'm going to continue on with Revelation. I'm going to continue on with Revelation. These are things that are unknown of Revelation. I know we are very inquisitive people, and we love to study and love to say to ourselves, I have an understanding of what the Word of God is. And it is a great thing to have an understanding. The understanding comes through wisdom. And through wisdom, you have suffering. And through with suffering, you have patience. And you have to have understanding. The unknowns in the book of Revelation are these. The significance of the four creatures of strange appearance, Revelation 4. The personal identity of the white rider, the white horse rider, Revelation 6. The reason for the half hour of silence, Revelation 8. The nature and purpose of the seven thunders, what they uttered. You will not know these things. John's future ministry, Revelation 10, verse 11. the personal identity of the two witnesses, you will not know who the witnesses are. I think a lot of people think that they're Enoch. Some say Moses, some say Elijah. But you will never know who they are. You can guess, you can speculate, you can accuse people, you can say these, but it's something you will never know. The area covered in the wilderness where the Hebrew people are hidden in the origins of the eagle's wings. What my understanding is that the hidden people, the hidden ones, which are supposed to be hidden, but the people, Hebrew people, are waking up. And the origin of the eagle's wings. Now, the origin of the eagle's wing are, now you can look at it from two perspectives. The eagle wings means this. The eagle's wings means the Babylonian people, which are Americans, because their symbol is an eagle. Or you can look at it from a standpoint of the Lord's, the eagle's wings of the Lord, where the Lord hide them and keep them from all hurt, harm, and danger. And the last one, the effects, the exact effects of the leaves from the tree of life. Revelation chapter 22 and verse 2. And finally, the last subject before I end this segment. Who are the elect of God? The elect of God is the Christ. Isaiah chapter 42, verse number 1. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 6. The angels. 1 Timothy 5 and verse 21. Next is Isaiah, which is Israel. Isaiah 45, verse number 4. Isaiah 65, verse 9. And Luke chapter 18, verse 7. In the church, Romans 8 and 33, Colossians 3 and 12, Titus 1 and 1, 1 Peter 1 and 2. Now, these things I want to share with you. Now, before I close this segment, I want to tell you that don't be fooled by these treatments of these people, American people, on money that they give you. All these things are done by witchcraft and drugs. Don't be deceived. Um, don't think that American people loves you. The main objective of America is to continue to give Satan power so that he can rule the earth. Because America do not want to go down. They want to continue in sin. But God is not going to allow it. And as much as many people think America is a great country and will allow them to do everything they want to do, America has not always existed and will not always exist. It's just the facts. And you can kill me. You can kill all the Hebrews that you want to. You can incarcerate us, not give us jobs, try to starve us, and everything else. It's not, God did not let Adam and Eve stay in the garden and sin. He's definitely not going to allow America to sin. and to stay. But America is trying to get all its demons and work magic and drug up everybody they possibly can, get them doped up so they can go and fight the wars for them. So they think that they can give Satan power. But the nations, they will wake up. They will wake up and they will know what's real and what's not real, and who likes to be on drugs, and how America just like to give people drugs to keep them this way. They did the same thing to China and India a long time ago. They took control of China, Hong Kong, because Hong Kong refused to give them drugs. And if you don't give people drugs once they hooked on them, these people go crazy. So, it's praying time. I tell you that. And it's time, if you're serious about God, there's no time like now to get serious, because these are evil days. And knowledge is increasing. It's not just knowledge about electronics or science, but it's knowledge about God and who God's people really are and who are not, and who are the false prophets and who are not. These are standing times. Don't stoop during standing time. Thank you for listening. Oh, I want to tell you this. There is something that I want to say, and I'm a bit shameful to say it, but it's true, and I need to say it. Um, there are there were two kings that the American government, the founding fathers, took from Israel in Jerusalem, and they died in Washington D.C. in jail, according to Jeremiah chapter 52. One of the kings or the princes, the king was named Zedekiah. The other one was named Jehoiakim. Both of them was taken to, the Bible says, the king of Babylon, and they brought him up from prison, changed his prison clothes, fed him a diet, and put him back into prison to his death. Both of them died. So they're they're actually marking and laughing and saying, "Where's your king?" Now they made up a fictitious king, and they're mocking Hebrews, mocking us, saying, "Where is your king?" They made up an African king and made up a name of a country with Tonka, Africa, and they think that this is supposed to, well, to some extent, because we have been suffering for so long, because we were looking for someone to help us, some encouragement. But see, this is how people do when they take the advantage of you, and they know your identity, who you are. But don't worry about it. Trust in the Lord. He will work everything out. God is a mighty God. This has been planned from the beginning of the world, before the world even started. All of these things, even to those who will die, God knows who will live and who will die. I want to encourage you now and say, hang on in there and trust in the Lord. Things are going to get bad, real bad. But for those that endure to the end, the same shall be saved. And be kind and loving to your brothers. Some of them might have some not so good information. Some of them has really studied and prayed, and they are true messengers of God. But you'll know them by and by. What they say will come to pass. If it does not come to pass, then you know They were not sent by God. And we're going to get a lot of false prophets. It says so in the Word. There's going to be false teachers and some excellent orators. I mean, these guys are going to be so persuasive. They was going to be excellent orators. These guys are going to be practiced. They're going to be practicing and rehearsing. They're going to have a great stage. They're going to have great voices. They're going to be handsome looking. And you got to be careful and to be careful who you listen to and who's telling the truth. The days are coming. Thank you for listening.